Good afternoon, guys. It's Tuesday, which means it is Shift Happen Day. I love this title. I love this title so much. I have a really bad habit of my mouth sometimes, and so what I really want to say is something different. But I say shift happens because that's life. Because in our life, in every day, everything that we do, everything we experience, there's all sorts of shifts. And that's what we're talking about, is shifting, because shift happens. And what I'd like to start out with is we're going to talk about what goes on in here, and that's our main focus. That's the crux of controls our whole body and everything that we do. And if you really sit back and think about the majesty of your body, the creativity of your body, just the pure mechanics of what goes on in our bodies, we don't have to think about our breathing, because most of us, it comes naturally. We don't have to think about the smells, because when we smell something, it automatically goes to that to our data system, the motherboard, our networking, and we smell. When we want to move our hands, if majority of us can to move our hands. When we need to taste something, when we taste it, our brains automatically tell us, is this sweet or is this sour? So our bodies are made in such engineering, that most of the stuff, the functions in our body, we don't have to tell ourselves to breathe. We don't have to tell our heart to beat. We don't have to tell our liver what to do. We don't have to tell our kidneys what to do, because these are automated functions, automatic functions that have been strategically made, depending on who your higher power is. But I also want you to think about our thought processes, and the way we speak. Our thought processes are, it's an ability rather than our reality. If you think about it, how our brain works is almost like a computer system. It does a whole lot of stuff, but what it also does in terms of our thought processes is that it collects data, or data, however you want to pronounce that. I say data because I'm country. But your brain has collected all this data your entire life, and that is the lens, that our perceptions of what we think about get funneled through. Things that have been stored in our database of our thought system just meanders in there, and sometimes we pull it out as a recall, or we think, or we speak, and we use it in our normal everyday function. But a lot of what that is, that recall, is something that's been embedded, it's been hardwired into our brain. And so when we recall an event, or something happens to us, or how we feel about something, it pulls that data from your thought process, your memory bank, and that becomes your reality. Every experience and perception in life is based on our thought process. Everything that we do, everything that we experience is based on those perceptions. Thinking really precedes everything. It is our perception. It is in our perception. What do we say about our perception? Our perception becomes our realities. So I want to give you a typical example of how we can harbor positive things or we can harbor negative things. Here's a typical example of how our thoughts can be misunderstood and the lack of understanding affects us, the thinker. Let us pretend you accidentally spill a glass of water on the floor at a restaurant and look up to see that a man, 2 tables over, has flashed you what you believe a disapproving look. You respond with anger. What's the matter with that guy? You think. Hasn't he ever dropped anything? What a jerk. Your thoughts about the circumstance make you frustrated. You end up ruining your afternoon. Every minute you remember that incident, and as you think about it, you become more and more angry. But the truth of the matter is, that person didn't even notice you spilling your drink. He was in his own world, reacting to his own thoughts about who knows, maybe an error he made at the earlier. He could have cared less about you and the fact that you even existed. So you've manifested this whole reality on that thought of that look that you perceived was negative, and really and truly that was your reaction to his look. He wasn't paying any attention to what was going on because he was lost in his own thoughts. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what's in our control and what's not in our control. And I think for me, once I find that balance of when I have, as human nature, we want to control everything. We want to control what the weather is. We want to control what you do. We want to control what the world does. But we know, hopefully, in our reality, it doesn't work like that. So what we're going to talk about today is who's in control. And first, what I'd like to talk about is let's think about what are the things that are not in our control. Karen and Kim, hey girls, hey! Thank you for being with me today. So when I talk about control, let's talk about the things that are out of our control. Now, let's seriously talk about the things that, if you think of your control being, is that a circle? A circle. It's hard to do on the screen. But let's think of things that are in our control. My words, what I can say, the tone that I use, the communication that I want to get across. You know, two thought processes, your thought process and my thought process are two computers. They're not going to speak the same language, but what I can control is what comes out of here. And meaning what comes out of there, that is what's in here that can come out of there. So that right here is in your control. My choices are my control, whether it be a good choice based on my perception and my reality, or when I make a bad choice. That is within my control. And the recognition of when that is a good choice and when that is a bad choice. My hair is going wacky today. So my choice is in that nucleus of control. Other things that are in my control, my actions, what I do, what I say, what I do, how I feel, are in my control. That's in my bubble. That's the things that I can make sure that it doesn't get out of my ability to react. And speaking of reactions, are reactions within your control? We see a lot of stuff going on around us today, lots of things happening in our world today. And my control is how I can react to it. I can take it all in and become very agitated, very dramatic about it. But all in all, it's like the story I just read, my reactions, my reactions to an event. Because what I see happening is going to be through my lens, through my computer system, and through my reality, because that's my perception. My actions, my reactions. Do you think that your future is something that you can control? That is that's a big debate. We can't control what the government does. We can't control what the gas prices do. We can't control life. We can't control people. We can't keep people in our lives that aren't supposed to be in there. We can't keep events from happening in our life, because that's what happens. Life happens, shift happens. And so there are things within our future that we can control in terms of is what you vision, what you look at as your future. Some people look at their future and want to be financially set. That's important to them. So what do they have control of right now? They have control of that. So the things that are outside of my control, there's lots of things outside of our control, but my ability to sit back and manage my own self and really and really honestly think about how how that affects me. Um, that we are not this mechanical person, that we have thoughts, feelings, emotions, and they're all based on a lot of our life history, the tapestry of who we are, from being a child and all of the things that happened in your life as a child and how we react to everything as an adult. You may hear somebody say something to you, that something derogatory that you heard when you were a child, and so your first reaction is this knee in the gut reaction that it takes you all the way back. Do I have control on how I react to that? Absolutely. Absolutely. And what makes us keep going back to what our control level is? What is that? What is that balance and leveling point that takes us back to the ability to understand first how it is a thought, and that we have to pay attention to every thought? We talked about last week about how many thoughts go functioning in our head. Really, thoughts are just, we can't prevent that from coming in. What we can prevent is what we're going to do with that thought. You can't think yourself into a happy, positive mood. You have to set your whole being up to be that, and to let that be a leveler. But we can't prevent all of this stuff going on the outside, but we have total control of what we have on the inside. There's some other things, we talk about, everybody talks about my reactions, my actions, my words, my choices. And we bulk this all, it all sounds like really good stuff. But what I found the other day, and I thought that was the coolest thing, and it gave a bigger list on the things that we can control. And I thought that that was so impactful for me. So we're going to read some of those. Wherever I put them. So we talked about your beliefs. You have control of what you believe in, who you believe in, what your moral compass is, your attitude, your perspective. What's in your control is how honest you are. That's in your control. Who your friends are going to be. Maybe when we were little, we had, maybe your adult, maybe your parents, maybe your guardians were associated with other families, and that's who your friends were. But within my control, I get to choose my friends. I get to choose within my control what books I want to read, what magazines I want to read, what movies I want to watch, what I want to watch on TV. Within my control, I get to choose what I eat or the kind of food that I eat. I get to choose how many risks I want to take. I choose how I want to interpret a situation. And we can interpret situations from all different angles. It could be a lens of from your trauma. It could be a lens from your recovery. But I get to, that's within my control, whether what you're trying to show me, what I see, is exactly how you want it to present to me. But I get to choose that. You can choose how kind you are to others. It's your choice. You get to talk to the waiter. You get to talk to the person at the drive-through. But you get to choose if you're going to be nice, and hopefully you're going to be nice. You get to choose how kind you are to yourself. We have a tendency to battle our own selves. We battle our own thinking all the time. We are in such combat sometimes with our thoughts and our mind, which really we should be in congruence and to shift that into the direction that we truly want to go. We get to control how often I say I love you. We get to control how often we say I'm sorry. We get to choose how we want to express ourselves, which is really cool. Express ourselves, express our feelings, whether it be verbally or how we look. But that's within our control to be able to say, that makes me feel. When you say that, that makes me feel like this. That's ours. We own that. That's in our nucleus of what is in our control. We also have in our control who we ask for help, when we ask for help, or whether or not we ask for help. That's in our control too. What's also in my control is how often I practice my gratitude. That is my favorite one because I start my day being very grateful, and I end my day being very grateful, because the things that I get to do in my life, there are people that can't do that, people that can't see. And I wake up in the morning and I can see, and I'm so grateful for that. I can hear. I'm so grateful for that. I um, I have beautiful family, and I'm so grateful for that. The ability to walk, and so grateful. Even the smallest things, even if my day starts shifting, I have to step back, and what kind of refocuses me is that I have to go through a gratitude list. And I think of three things, because we all can get in that hamster wheel of our brains just traveling. And so it's a lot of grounding, and it's a lot of pulling yourself back to right now. And there's always something to be grateful for, especially on a day like today. If all hell is breaking loose around you, at least, at least it's pretty. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful day, and I can hold on to that. What I can't control is technology. um, a big thing. What I can control is how much time I spend worrying. I it's hard. It's As human beings, it's very difficult for us to stay right here in the now. So we'll travel back here, and then we'll travel ahead. But really, it's that focus on now. And it is that worry that I have to reshift and to refocus right back into center. But I have control of when I worry, and I worry. I worry a lot. I have to work on that. That is in my control. But I do all sorts of mindfulness to stop that worry. Sometimes I just have to say at 5 o'clock, you can worry for 10 minutes and write everything down. And I play that. What can I do about it now? What can I fix about it now? And if there's nothing I can do about it, I'm going to leave it right there. So I have to allot my time of worrying, but that's in my control. Nobody else is making me worry. It's my reaction to everything else that's making me worried. I like to think I have control over all of that makes me worry, but I don't. And that's that shift. That's our mindset that we have to gear towards back of what that control, where that control is. Also in my control is how much I think about the past. And bringing that forward. And as human nature, we have a tendency to relive the crappy stuff. And so I have control not to go there. Again, the whole platform of this series is shifting that, being able to jerk myself back right here is that ability to shift. I used our thought processes last time like an analogy of a dog on a leash. My thought processes can run rapid, but if I have a leash on them, I'm able to pull them back. Sometimes I'll let them wander, but I'll have to pull them back. That's that shifting that we're going to be talking about. What else is in my control? Whether or not I judge people, and the lens I judge, and why I judge. That's in my control. What else is in my control is whether or not you try again after a setback, that you keep picking yourself up after a setback. Whether some people may consider that very minute through their eyes, but to you it was a huge setback. But it's your choice what you do with it. You're going to sit and marinate in that, or your choice is to move ahead. And there's some other things I have choices about. My control is how much you appreciate the things that you have. That goes back to that gratefulness. And to recognize that we, each and every one of us, I just read about 25 things that were in our control. That's a lot of things that we probably don't ever think about. But that's a lot of things in our life that we feel like sometimes we are just rolling down a hill without any boundaries and just can't stop. But we do have control. We have a control of where our mind takes us, whether it's back there, whether it's over here, or it's simply right there, because nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed in our life. This may be it. So enjoy your day. Hold on to your peace. Hold on to your control, and understand what's in it, what I have, what is mine, and what is it on the outside of that control bubble. And we will just stay in that little control bubble as we work through this. It is a process. This is not easy. Our minds are built to go to the dark side instead of we have to keep pulling ourselves to the very essence of where we are right now, because in all actuality, this is the only thing that we can really do anything about is right now. So show some gratitude, stay in your control zone, and recognize when thoughts come bombarding you, situations out there. Take it through the list in the filter in your mind and say, what of this and how I react to is in my control? Because ultimately, you are the one in control. So peace, love, be love, show love, and share love. And we will be back next Tuesday with lots of cool more stuff for you in Shift Happens. Thanks so much, everybody.